Okay, so today I'm going to talk about emotional intelligence. The purpose of this message is to give you context and peace, since that's what I got from it. When I learned how to have emotional intelligence, it helped me a lot. It helped me process my emotions so I didn't have to suppress them. I didn't have to avoid them. I can face them head on and relieve myself of those emotions and move on with peace in my life. So I am hoping that from this message, it encouraged you to develop emotional intelligence, because it's something that you can learn to do. I believe you can learn how to do anything, and you can definitely learn how to manage your emotions and also be aware of other people's emotions. So what did I learn about emotional intelligence? One thing, the biggest thing I learned about emotional intelligence is that people will try to throw their pain on you, but you don't have to catch it. Instead, I've learned to pray for them, send them love, and give it to God. So there was a time where I was experiencing a ugly child custody battle with my ex-husband. We were divorced. It had already been 12 years. I'm thinking I've moved on my life. I'm going after my dreams. I relocated to a whole nother city. And before me, I'm facing a custody battle with him out of nowhere. Words were thrown at me that I'm like, what is this? In fact, there was a statement that he said about, now how does it feel when the rabbit got the gun? Everything that was said to me pointed back to 12 years later, you have resentment and grudges in your heart towards me. And when that started to kind of unfold, caught me by surprise. And because of that, I was so upset. I was so angry. And I honestly did not know how to process my own emotions at that time. And so all of the pain and hurt that he was throwing at me, I in turn felt the pain because I was hurt in turn. And that's where you hear that saying that hurt people hurt people. So if you're hurt, a hurt person can hurt you. But if you have emotional intelligence and you are aware of what's going on, you can look at the full picture and you can be aware of your own emotions and process your own emotions without taking on somebody else's emotions. Now, you don't get hurt by that person. It doesn't matter what that person throw at you. Instead, whatever pain they try to throw at you, instead you can give it all to God. You can pray for them, and you can send them love, and you can keep the peace within your own heart. So I had to learn all this the hard way, which is why I'm hoping that by the time you see this message, and before you have to experience anything tragic with another person in your life, or if you're already experiencing something painful dealing with another person in your life, I'm hoping that when this message finds you, it encourages you to learn how to develop emotional intelligence. So emotional intelligence is having the ability to have self-awareness of your own emotions. So being aware of your own emotions. Most times when we experience something in life, we either suppress our emotions, like we just sweep it under the rug like nothing has happened. We avoid our emotions, or escape our emotions, so we run from them. We don't even deal with them at all, so we try to really pretend like nothing has happened. Or we express our emotions, meaning we get angry and we act on those angry emotions. Me, I'm the type of person where before I learned emotional intelligence, I would suppress my emotions. I would escape my emotions. I would pretend like I wasn't angry. I would try to run from the anger. I would try to run from the fear or whatever pain that I felt like I was facing. I would run from it. And so that's not a good thing, because what happens is when you keep that negative energy in you, those painful emotions, that's negative energy. When you keep it inside of yourself, it shows up subconsciously in other areas of your life. So for me, when I was suppressing anger and I was suppressing hurt and pain and grief and resentment, I saw myself being more of a selfish person. And I know that's not my state. I'm a very giving person. I'm a very generous person. And so when I started seeing myself being selfish in situations with other people that had nothing to do with the situation I was upset about, I knew that, okay, this is an issue. This is a problem, because that's not who I am and that's not who I want to be. And so I knew, okay, I know I could do something about this. So let me figure out a way on how I can heal myself so I can be better, because I want to be that person who I normally am, is giving, loving, sharing, caring, empathetic, and an inspiring person. I'm a motivational speaker. I have a passion to uplift other people. I have a passion to encourage other people. And I'm going to tell you, when I was harboring over all those negative emotions, it was very difficult for me to uplift anybody. It was very difficult for me to motivate or inspire anybody. I didn't feel that in me, so how could I give it? And that is why it's so important for you to develop emotional intelligence, because what that's going to do is going to help you manage your emotions. And managing your emotions, to me, is not necessarily like you manage the emotions and they're there and you put them in their place. Managing the emotions, to me, is learning how to process your emotions, because ultimately the goal is to process the emotions. I learned scientifically, your emotions, when you feel them, emotions are a chemical process that take place in your body that only happens about 60 to 90 seconds. So I know you've probably had a time in your life where, let's say you're super excited about something. A big day is coming up. Maybe you're about to close on your first home. You're super excited about it. The big day comes, you're super excited, you close on the home, and boom, you feel all this enthusiasm, you feel all this excitement, and on the day you feel all this joy. But a few days later, that passed. Why? Because you process that joy, you process that happiness. So those emotions pass. So what we do as humans, we tend to process joy and happiness quickly. We can feel those emotions, process them, and move on with our lives quickly, because we're not afraid of them. Because everybody loves to feel good. Everybody loves to feel happy. But when it comes down to negative emotions, we tend to run and escape from those emotions. And what happens is those emotions get trapped inside of your body. And then when they become trapped inside of your body, now they're going to be stuck inside of your subconscious mind. And when they're into your subconscious mind, literally, it's going to be self-sabotaging you, and you don't even realize it. Things you want to do, things you want to pursue, things you're after. You're wondering, like, why am I like this? Why am I doing these certain things? You're starting to question yourself, but you forgot that somebody stepped on your toe, or you went through a traumatic situation with another person in your life, a breakup or something. It didn't end too well. That person did you wrong, and instead of you processing those emotions, you suppressed it, and it's still there. And now, fast forward, it's showing up in your life a year later, years later. This happens to people. I know it happened to me. Years later, things will happen. You will notice, like, oh, I didn't process those emotions from years ago. I say years because I'm hoping that this message encourages you to process those negative emotions. If you're experiencing something with somebody in your life, because here's the thing, we're going to experience conflict everywhere we go. Work, school, business, relationships, dealing with people in general. You're going to experience conflict with people. Don't run from the conflict. Learn how to deal with the conflict, because when you learn how to handle the conflict, now you're able to navigate through life in a way where you can get your peace back faster. You can find your joy back faster. You can live a happier life. You can live more lighter, because now you're not weighed down by so many negative emotions. And I believe that it is your responsibility to process your emotions, not theirs. It's your responsibility to process your own emotions, not the other person. Because here's the thing, we can control ourselves, but we cannot control another person. I believe you can't control someone else, but you can influence. You can't control someone else or try to change someone else, but you can influence others to change. How do you influence other people? Well, people tend to be influenced by being led by example. So people are seeing what you do visually. What you show people visually, what they do, that is what influences them. That's how you influence people, by the visuals, by what you're physically doing. Not necessarily all the time by what you say. So you might listen to a whole bunch of motivational speaking videos, inspirational videos, or educational videos, but you take nothing from those videos. You do nothing about anything of the videos that you have listened to, because you did not see the visuals. But if you see a person getting up early in the morning, if you see a person exercising and working out, if you see a person running, if you see a person speaking, if you see a person coaching, if you see a person making money, talking to people, talking to customers, if you see someone doing something, the visual side of it, that is what is going to influence other people. So if you want to positively influence people, show people how to do it instead of focusing on talking them through it. Because honestly, people are influenced by what you do, not what you say. So with that being said, going back to, it's your responsibility to process your own emotions, because it's going to be for your best interest. It's not about them. So when I say, people try to throw their pain at you, and I tell you, hey, give their pain to God, send them love, okay? And I'm telling you, send them love and pray for them. You might be thinking, I don't want to pray for that person. I don't want to send them love. I don't want nothing good. So all of that thinking is the negative emotions being acted out in your thoughts. You don't want to do, you're reluctant to do those things because you're still holding on grief and resentment and grudge. But you want to let that go, because here's the thing. Resentment is like a poison. It's a slow poison that kills you, not the other person. So what I'm sharing for you is for your benefit. This has benefited me. I don't give a damn what my ex-husband is doing in his life right now. But I do not wish nothing negative or bad on him, because what you wish for others is what you wish for yourself. So you really don't want to have no enemies. So pray for your enemies. Give them to God. You don't have to deal with them. Give them to God. Let it go. You don't have to communicate. You don't have to talk to that person. I don't communicate and talk to him. I don't communicate and talk to him. I don't have to communicate and talk to him anymore. My son is a grown-ass man right now. So thank God I don't have to do that. But I also do not wish any ill on him. I also, honestly, I don't have any negativity about him anymore, to the point where if I think of her, if something comes up with his name, or like kind of how I'm having this conversation with you right now, because before I couldn't have this conversation with you right now and even bring them up. I couldn't even talk about it. But now I could talk about it because I have already processed those emotions, and I don't have any negativity attached to the name. I know that, hey, I've already given this person to God. I've already sent them love, and I'm able to move on with my life. And so, and here's the last thing I want to share about emotional intelligence. So it's your responsibility to process your own emotions, not theirs. Okay. So what I'm saying is, it's not your responsibility to process their emotions. This is not about them. This is about you. But instead, what you can do is, it's important for you. So with emotional intelligence, it's not just about you knowing how to manage your own emotions. It's also being aware of other people's emotions. And this is very, very important, because if you want to have healthy relationships in life, you want to be able to have emotional intelligence, the true emotional intelligence, where you're able to be self-aware of yourself and you're also aware of other people. So what you can do is, you can have empathy in a way where you are able to acknowledge others without processing their emotions. So it's not your responsibility to process their emotions, but I do believe it is your responsibility to be aware of other people's emotions. And awareness is just really simple: having empathy. So somebody might get upset. That doesn't mean you have to get upset, but you can empathize with that person. You can put yourself in that person's shoes, and understand, like, hey, if somebody would have cut me off and we're driving on the road, maybe they're having a bad day, and maybe that's why they're, upset right now. Why they, how many times I've been on the road and someone gets upset with me. We're riding, have like road rage, and I don't know where they're getting upset, and I'm not getting back upset. I'm not going back and forth with them, because I don't know. They might be having a bad day today. This just might be the day that they're having a bad day, and I might just be in their path where they pissed off because I didn't move as quick as they wanted me to move. You see what I'm saying? But that doesn't mean that, oh, now I need to, just say, oh, F them, and not have any empathy about them. Because here's the thing: when you do that, you think you're just doing it to some stranger on the road, but subconsciously you're doing that to the people in your house. So you don't want to do that to your children. You don't want to do that to your spouse. You don't want to do that to important relationships in your life. Because let me tell you, I've been in relationships with people where I can tell they do not have emotional intelligence. And it's not a good feeling. And I've also been a person who have not had emotional intelligence. And the people in my life, I could see where, okay, something I've said or something I've done, my lack of empathy, my lack of awareness of them, I can see where it caused them to not like, not like me at the time, or be upset or be mad at me. And that doesn't feel good either, because here's my thing. When I care about people, when I love people, when I care about people, my friends, my family, I want to add to them. I don't want to be the person who is making you upset. Now, I'm not saying be a people pleaser. I am not saying that at all, because like I said, it's not your responsibility to manage your emotions. But I do believe it's our responsibility for the people that we really care about, even if it's a stranger on the street. It's, to me, to make the world a better place, I think it's important for us to just have the awareness and have empathy for other people and move on. So empathy is just, oh man, I'm sorry this person might have had a bad day, but hopefully things get better for them. Simple as that. That's it. You see what I'm saying? Or somebody comes to you, your friend confides in you, and they have something difficult going on in their life right now. You just listen. Let's listen to them. That's not the time to instruct and try to fix them, or try to give, because I think we tend to want to solve people's problems. It may not be the time to solve a problem. It may just be the time to just listen to them, have a listening ear, and hold space for whatever they're sharing with you. That's it. You don't have to take on their pain. You don't have to take on their emotions. Just being a active listening ear is enough. That in itself is being empathetic. And then maybe it's a situation where you can relate to that person, and you can remember, hey, I remember I had a time like this. But honestly, even if you had a time what they're sharing with you, I don't believe that's the time for you to probably bring it up unless they invite that conversation. Maybe it's just sitting back, actively listening. And what you could do is ask them, how can I support you in this moment? How can I be there for you? Is there anything that I could do? And maybe that might open the conversation for further discussion, in you sharing, how you was able to overcome a situation. And then that in turn helps them. So I hope this message helps you guys develop emotional intelligence. I am still working on myself. I am still working on it. So I don't feel like once you just develop emotional intelligence, you're just going to have it all together. I believe it's a work in progress. It's a practice that you do every day, and you do have to be intentional about it, because I do feel as though sometimes, especially like if I'm PMSing during the month and my period's on, I can forget and I can say things or do things where I'm not emotionally aware of my own emotions or anybody else's. But I feel like if you're actively working on your emotional intelligence, and you're aware of that, and you give yourself grace, you give other people grace, because imagine you're working on emotional intelligence, but there's other people who aren't. So imagine you're working on it and they aren't. And so that's when I feel like it's important for us to be the bigger person, because we are wiser. We're wiser in the situation that we know better about, because that person doesn't know. So it's like, how do you fault a person that doesn't know? They're doing the best that they can with what they know, but and so now it kind of is like, it falls back kind of like on you. But it doesn't mean that it's I'm saying this to beat yourself up. I'm saying this it's like the serenity prayer. You control what you can control, and ask God for courage and guidance to give you the wisdom that you need to discern the difference between what you can control and what's out of your control. And give the rest to God. Simple as that. And I'm telling you, you do this. You would thank me later. All right, peace.